Believe it or not, your eyes do not deceive you. We are live. State of the Franchise is back. That's Jason Aponte. I'm Brad Graham. We're going to talk all things San Francisco 49ers right now. And I'm excited to get into it with my brother. Let's get into it all right now. That's Jason Aponte. I'm Brad Graham. We're going to get into it all right now. All right, it has been a minute, but we are back in the saddle. Jason Aponte to, I guess, my right on the screen here. We might have to change the name of our show, Jason, from State of the Franchise to State of the Injured Reserve, because both you and I are going through it right now. But man, it's good to have you back. Good to be talking some 49er football with you, dude.
Yeah, it's good to see you too, man. And yeah, we're so committed to the bit that we've injured ourselves to stand in solidarity. And I'll be happy to report that it was not the substation that did me in, considering where I live. Unless that substation is really giving off some stuff from that part of the country.
Yeah, for real. If you guys don't know, Jason's dealing with some herniated discs. So he's in physical therapy. I think he did his physical therapy today. I'm dealing with the torn patella tendon. I had my first physical therapy session today. So we're really diving into the theme of the San Francisco 49ers last year. But obviously, we're heading towards a new season, a new year. So the theme is how do the 49ers obviously get back on track? And some of that is some internal housekeeping, right? Like 49ers have some players who could be headed for free agency, could be returning. We saw today that Kalia Davis is not going to be tendered. He is going to be able to become a free agent. Before we get into any of the other players, what was just your initial reaction to Kalia Davis, seeming to be parting ways with the Niners? Big deal, not big deal. What's your thoughts on that?
No, that's all right. I mean, rotational player, he's done well when he was, asked to be out there on the field, but 49ers can find that type of player probably for a little bit cheaper as well too. And you're still going to be relying on West and Collins, who are coming off surgeries and everything. Michael is going to be back. I think it's not really a big deal. I don't think that it really means that Kalia Davis is like gone, but it would depend on what somebody else is ready to give him. So we'll see. And you know what? I think that if we're talking about in that regard, I'm not sure what the league thinks of Kalia Davis, but I think the 49ers will be able to have their chance to bring him back and get him back into the fold for probably less than whatever it is that the number was that they let him go for.
Yeah, I believe if they would have tendered him at like the lowest level, I think it was around 3.5, something in that range. I do agree they could probably get him back for less. If he decides to walk,
Hope you're muted. Yeah.
We're back. Yeah, we're back to get it.
my mic kicked out by my AirPods. There we go, just like old times.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think too much of it, honestly. I think, with the 49ers drafting CJ West, going out there, getting Alfred Collins, clearly starting a youth movement. I think they had a little bit bigger thoughts and plans. I mean, what, Kalia was a 6th-round pick, if I'm not
hmm
mistaken. So, it wasn't like they had the biggest, thoughts for him as a contributor, but he started all 16 games last year and, you know, put up, I think, a sack and a half over his time with the Niners. I think the 49ers will be moving on. I don't think, fans will be too upset about that one. And I think they could look to the draft to add some more additional defensive line depth. But I think a player that obviously has been a big contributor to the San Francisco 49ers since he was drafted in the 7th round, wide receiver Jauan Jennings. I think a report came out today from Jeremy Fowler talking about what he might be trying to obtain in free agency. And just what are your thoughts? Is this the end of the Jauan Jennings era? Should we expect that Jauan Jennings will be signing elsewhere in free agency, or do you think there's a chance he might return?
I would probably say that he's going to go. You think about the ties to Tennessee. It feels like any San Francisco 49er. You're probably, on your way to Tennessee, but I would say that the team that I really have an eye on and that'll pay him more than $15 million and use him on top of the draft pick that they'll probably use to fill in another wide receiver spot is New Orleans. He becomes instantly the veteran in the room, the guy who can make catches in the red zone. You still have Olave. You probably end up with another receiver in the draft. I know they like Devon Vele really well, very much because of how he came on, during the season when he was brought in. But I just do see a team giving Jauan Jennings much more than the 49ers are comfortable giving him. And I think a lot of that is predicated on the fact of they think the world of his attitude and run blocking, and anybody would want that on their team if it irritates defenders into getting out of their game. And they also see the red zone and the consistency. There's a floor with Jauan Jennings, right? Like there's a floor. Like the ceiling isn't massive, but the floor and what you get day in, day out, a lot of teams are going to be interested in, especially ones with wide receivers that are very young.
I'm not gonna lie. I think we talked about this on like past shows where we're like, we don't view Juwan Jennings as your X wide receiver, your field stretcher, your guy who's gonna play that role. But when he was asked to play that role because the 49ers had no one, Brandon Ayuk long gone and all the injuries that they had at that position, he played decently well. He at least produced, and was able to rack up some touchdowns, still doing his prototypical third and Jawan type activities. But all that being said, 29 years old. I mean, I think the number for Jawan, he's probably trying to get over 20. I think that based on what was rumored to be offered to him last offseason during training camp, which was a 3-year contract, $16 million on average, he turned it down. He said, nope, I'm going to go for that. What was it, like a three? Or how did they structure? It was like they restructured his deal to just have in-game incentives, right? Or like
Yeah.
in-season incentives. So he declined the multi-year deal, bet on himself, started out a little slow because obviously the injury, but he really did pick it up. So do you think Juwan Jennings will get 20 million on average plus in free agency? I mean, when you look at the free agency wide receiver group, there's not a lot of star talent there. I mean, Alec Pierce is going to be your number one guy probably in free agency. You got your Wandell Robinsons, you got some other guys, but there aren't a ton of just like, oh wow, this guy's going to shake up the market, change everything. I mean, Alex Pierce might get the bag just because of lack of other options, but could you see, like, do you see Jawan having a pretty strong market in free agency?
I do, and especially when you consider what you just said, right? Like, there's no, oh my God, like, you've got to go get him. Like, if you want Mike Evans, then you got to deal with the idea that he's 32, 33 years old. If you want Alec Pierce, you have to understand that wide receiver twos get paid like wide receiver ones, which is why we see Christian Kirk getting a massive amount of money from the Jacksonville Jaguars. And we're like, what the hell was that for, dude? But yeah, I think considering the lack of options and then the teams that'll be in the I guess in the running for his services are teams that are going to be much closer to one piece on offense or something that they need. Like they're closer to win now. That's why like it feels like it could be the Saints. We mentioned Tennessee for familiarity, but then that kind of like runs its course where he is going to be the guy again, but you don't have Kyle Shanahan to scheme him up and get him the football. So I do see it. I do see that a team is gonna put that out there because they want that type of player in their building. They want to add that guy who's been in big games and who doesn't back down from blocking. So again, like everybody in the wide receiver game or the wide receiver market, he's going to get overpaid regardless. You're going to look at it and say that's for the first time you're like, oh, that's not really, you're going to look at it, you're going to be like, man, that's really a bad deal. It's just like with wide receivers, you can make a case that almost everybody is a little overpaid, depending on who it is.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess the question for the 49ers is okay, they're likely not going to be bringing back Jauan Jennings. And I think the majority of 49er fans, I think, are okay with that, understanding a lot of the things that we've talked about, how much his price tag is going to be, his age, et cetera, et cetera. Obviously, right now, Ricky Pearsall seems to be your strongest piece in the wide receiver room. And I mean, I'm sure you've seen it. I've seen my comment sections. Anytime you mention the name Ricky Pearsall, people start get a little itchy because obviously he's become synonymous with injury. You know, we're state of the IR. You know, he'd fit right in with us with so far, at least up his career up until this point. What do the 49ers need to do to rebuild that room? Brandon Ayuk's not coming through that door anymore. You know, you have Jordan Watkins. It kind of felt like, you know, at the NFL Combine, John Lynch kind of threw a comment at him of, you know, he's got to be ready to go, which kind of felt like a indication that maybe he needs to do a little bit more. I even
Practice
saw a
better.
post. What was that?
He needs to
Practice better.
practice better.
I saw a post from Jordan Watkins where it was a 49ers team page and the caption said route runners, and they just posted a bunch of photos of all the 49ers wide receivers from last year, or majority of them. And he posted it to his story and he said something along the lines of, I didn't even run any of those last year, or something, you know, made a comment like, I didn't even run routes last year. Like, so what do the 49ers need to do to kind of retool that room? Do they turn to free agency? Is it all youth movement in the draft? Obviously, the smart money says a combination of both, but how would you go about rebuilding that room?
Well, at 27, I would take Omar Cooper Jr. That'll settle one part of it.
There you
And
go.
then I would look in free agency for guys that I know for a fact I can set my watch to, right? The idea of right now that Demarcus Robinson, Ricky Pearsall, Jordan Watkins, Jacob Cowing are your receivers right now, that's not good. And one could make the argument that that's the worst wide receiver room in the NFL. And I thought it was interesting what you were talking about with John Lynch and the combine. He brought up Jacob Cowing unprovoked. Yeah,
He
like
did.
he like essentially he's letting him know like yo, come on man, please. Like we need something. Like do we even know if Jacob Cowing is a real person still? But yes, and I want to say this. People are going to be upset that the 49ers possibly could address wide receiver at 27 because they were so low in sacks last year, or you need an offensive lineman, but you need wide receivers too. Like you absolutely need wide receivers. You didn't suspect that Brandon Ayuk was not going to be here. That's another monkey
Right.
wrench that's thrown into it, right? Like you thought it was either going to be Debo or Brandon Ayuk that leave. Now both of them are going to be gone. You know, maybe Debo comes back, but it has to be a mix of both. But I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if the 49ers at 27 take a wide receiver, and you shouldn't be either. And you shouldn't be upset either, especially if it's best player available. Like who's there?
Right.
I'm not as big on KC Concepcion as other people. I'm biased towards Omar Cooper Jr. because Indiana.
Hoosier?
Um, yeah, right. But
Yeah.
but still, it's got to be a little bit of both. Now the thing is if you're gonna send a first round pick and you're gonna draft somebody, they've got to play right off the bat. This can't be hey man, we're gonna see like whoever this person is, whoever this mystery wide receiver is, you've got to get out there and run routes immediately and be a day one contributor. So that's another thing, right? Like even after drafting Debo Samuel, it took him a few weeks to really get involved and really get acclimated. Brendan Ayuk in 2020, yeah, he played well with Nick Mullins. Nobody else was there, and then boom, you're like right back in the dog. Like even Ricky, obviously the shooting, that's something that's out of his hands. Then the injuries, like the 49ers need even Jauan Jennings, right? Like Jauan Jennings was drafted a seventh round pick. He basically redshirted the year before. They didn't even use him at all, right? Like, like the 49ers need to draft guys that are going to play day one. So that's going to be the hard part, but I do think it's going to be a little bit of both.
Yeah, it's really going to be interesting to see what the 49ers do. I am split on what they do at 27. A part of me says don't draft a wide receiver because of exactly what you just said. That wide receiver has to play.
Yeah,
And historically, under Kyle Shanahan, I think the one of the biggest usages we've seen out of rookie wide receivers was Brandon Ayuk. And when
hmm
you ask them about that, they credit that to the COVID year and just not
hmm
having a choice. Like they needed to play him, not that they wanted to play him. And then same thing. I remember Debo Samuel talking about the Super Bowl as a rookie. He's like, man, I don't know. He said at one point, he's like, I don't know if I'm ever going to get on this field because I this playbook is so difficult. And obviously we know how uh, you know, challenging, I guess, Kyle Shanahan could be on his wide receivers. And I think that's why we've seen a lot of wide receivers show flashes, but have never really been able to do it for a consistent period of time. So that has me kind of like I mocked KC Concepcion to the 49ers at 27
It's a
on
good
my
pick.
last
I
mock.
mean, I'm not saying he's bad. And it's just it's the mock drafters, not you. The mock drafters are just like who plays like Debo Samuel. All right, let's mock him. Like that's
Right.
it's like
And
it's the easiest way
ironically,
from.
both both Cooper and KC have a little Debo in them in
They
different
do.
ways.
hmm
Cooper physicality, bro. Like
Yeah, he's a
I
blocker.
went back and I watched because I've been paying attention to Indiana because of Fernando. I got to cover Fernando at Cal last year, so
My
I've been
dog.
paying attention to IU for that fact alone. And then obviously when they started to go on this run, it was like impossible not to check in to see what Indiana was doing all year. But when you're watching Indiana, I mean, there's a lot of guys who stood out to me, but Black, the running back, stood out to me
hmm
constantly. I feel like he's undervalued in the media rankings. I don't feel like he's. I don't know. I really like him. I think he's a tough downhill runner. Um, who fights for every inch and he's not going to go down at contact. But that's the same with Cooper. Cooper's like that, but in the wide receiver mold, looks kind of like a running back to me. But then he's a legitimate downfield threat. Like he can run routes, he can get open, but when he gets the ball in his hands, he is hard to stop. And he has that vision and the ability to make plays after contact. So I like him. I like KC because I think KC can get open. I think he's a very fluid athlete. Um, but again, if you probably had to ask me who do I think would get on the field first, I think it's Omar Cooper Jr. who gets on
I
the
think so
field
too.
first.
I think so
And I
too.
think there'd
Run
be a more
blocking.
defined role for him, right?
Yeah. Run blocking, better route runner. I think like the idea that like people are comparing him to Debo. I think he runs routes better than Debo. I think it's when he gets the ball in his hands and how tough he is when he's going down. Um,
Correct.
yeah, I like Cooper. Like I'm not gonna lie, and you're gonna like my player comp for Elijah Surratt too from Indiana. You're gonna love this player comp, Brad. I know that speed is the game. Elijah Surratt, he gives me Keenan Allen vibes. It
Ooh.
just in the way that he's able to savvy run routes without speed, understands where he needs to be, can fight for the ball in those tight windows. Like I like him in that spot. So when people are like, "Oh, well, he's a slow receiver," cool. Xavier Worthy's really fast and he's not good at football. So you have to start really like putting together the pieces and understanding that speed. If speed meant anything, Danny Gray would still be a 49er. So I understand you guys want to be fat. Like you want
Oh
speed
my
because of what you
gosh.
saw against Seattle, but
Yeah.
you don't realize that speed isn't route running and route running gets you open. Like there's plenty
Yeah.
of fast guys. Then why did John Ross never do anything in the league? Who cares if you can run a blazing 40 if you can't run routes? Like Tyreek Hill is an example that of somebody who can, but for the most part, you're overvaluing the speed and not looking at the player and understanding the nuances of route running. So yeah, I like Elijah Surratt as a Keenan Allen type.
My goat Keenan Allen ran a 4.7140, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
yeah,
I
he should
mean,
have never been in the league, right?
that those weren't even tight end numbers. The
Right.
tight ends this year at the NFL Combine went insane.
Yeah.
with Kenyon Sadiq leading the way with his 4.3940.
Wave bye-bye to him. He's not going to be around at
Yeah,
27.
no, that I was just coming around to it too. I like after I saw his blocking clips, I'm like, okay, this changes the whole conversation for me because my perception of him without doing any work was he's just a receiving threat at tight end. And obviously, we know with Kyle Shanahan's scheme, the George Kittle archetype, it's like we need someone who can do both. And then when I saw him basically looking like a prime Kyle Juszczyk in the blocking game, I was like, oh, well, this
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind him at 27 at all. And then he goes out and blows up the combine. I don't know. I don't know if he's making it in the 20s.
Nah.
He's probably close to being a top 15 at this point. So, yeah, it's gonna be fascinating to see what the San Francisco 49ers do in regard to building out this wide receiver room. I think we got a couple super chats. I want to get them in here. Silence says, any affordable bridge starters to fill holes? What do you think about this for the wide receiver room? I know, and we can branch out to other positions, but since we're on that room, are there any like affordable, maybe I Keenan Allen's a free agent. I don't know if that's an option that you would even consider, but just throwing names out there. Is there anyone who you could be like, we need someone for a year to just come in and get 30, 40 receptions on the season?
See, that's the thing with the whole Keenan Allen, the Mike Evans thing. Is that essentially at this point in his career, and I love Mike Evans, by the way. Um, he's essentially just a little bit more juiced up Jauan Jennings at this point, right?
Yep,
It'll be red zone.
100%.
It'll be, clutch
Third
catches,
downs,
big catch. Yeah, big catch radius. Um, but what's the price, right? Like, he's the
correct.
second ranked available wide receiver. Tyreek Hill's ahead of him. Who knows what that is going to be like? You can look up and down this list. You did mention Keenan Allen, somebody who might be somebody who you can just pick up for nothing and have him fill in. Tim Patrick could be somebody from Jacksonville who, he whenever he's playing, he's fine, 32 years old. The rest, there's like Rashid Shaheed, Hollywood Brown, Diami Brown, Tutu Atwell. It's not really
You talked
pretty.
about
Like,
Christian Kirk earlier.
yeah, oh no, thank you, man. Oh goodness gracious. I mean, not that he's bad or anything like that. I don't think he's bad, but $18 million or whatever. But yeah, it doesn't
There's no
really.
way he's making that much money. No
Yeah,
way.
it doesn't really correlate. So there's not really too much there. Like that's the thing. It's like it would have to be it would have to be one of those guys that like Kyle knows that he'll bring in, and we'll just be like, what him? Like but he's a guy
Yeah,
who
100%.
knows where to stand and is reliable, and it's just like it won't be flashy. It'll just be, hey, he was with Kyle here and here, and he trusts him.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. A name that I like, and I could be wrong on this. This could burn me, but I kind of like the idea of Tyquan Thornton. I like
Yeah,
him as a field stretcher. I like the size that he brings to the table. Obviously, he was like the sixth, seventh option in Casey's offense, so really wasn't involved all
got
that
to catch
much.
the football. That's the only thing
Yeah,
you're really worried
he's
about, his
got to get better
hands.
at that. But I think like when you look at his averages, I think he had something like 19 catches, but over 400 receiving yards. Like it was just, and obviously we know who his quarterback is. Um, 19 receptions, 438 yards, 3 receiving touchdowns on 36 targets. So it's not like he's getting a ton of volume, but well, he's young. He still could be one of those guys that I think still has another ability to improve a little bit. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, I like this name, and I'm probably in the minority here. And please tell me your honest opinions on this. Everyone's gonna hate it. I already know it, so I'm okay with it. I kind of like the idea of Tutu Atwell.
Um, for me, I just think his game it just it works better with Matthew Stafford, I think, right? The 49ers can find themselves a field stretcher, right? Somebody who can get down the field. I think that's what Tutu does better than anything. He's really undersized.
He is
Um,
5'9", 165. He's small.
yeah, it's tough, and he'll be out there like what in just 3 receiver sets, whenever that is. Like he can't be X and Z, right?
Correct.
Like it just
Correct.
um yeah, like looking through the free agent list, it's not pretty, man. Like it's
No,
not
it's
pretty.
not.
Like you're starting to get to like spots where you're looking at like or Khalif Raymond, and you're just like whoa, 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 whoa. Like now we're like
Diami
we
Brown.
Diami Brown is just like, whoo, man, and or Jahan Dotson, and it's just like, all right, man, like we're not. If we're doing all this, then like let's call up all the teams for wide receivers that I was big on and I thought would blow things out of the water. So let's call the Bills and see what's up with Curtis Samuel. Like at this point, if we're just doing all that, like
Terry
the only
McLaurin's
other
old
thing
teammate.
yeah, the only other thing I could think of that would be really nice, and I would really like this, but again, it comes with a price tag, and you have to trade for his contract. I'd love to see DJ Moore in San Francisco. I think that would be an incredible pickup. I think him, Ricky Pearsall, somebody else that you draft, or I think now you're starting to feel a lot better about this. I got crucified in 2021, right before the season started. Funny enough, he had like the greatest season that any like wide receiver not named Jerry Rice and T.O. had about Debo Samuel. That I thought DJ Moore was what everybody thinks Debo Samuel is as a player. Given his numbers, given his usage, given the way that they're lining him up in the backfield with Caleb Williams. My only concern is that it's too many years in a row of watching him play football. And trust me, I'm rooting for him because I'm a DJ Moore truther, where he kind of takes routes off a little bit and he kind of just like stops
Mm.
his routes sometimes. And I hate to see that because that is something that there's no excuse for, right? Being beat, being locked up, not getting to your spot, not being fast enough, that's fine. But you can always control effort, and that is really scary about that. But I would love DJ Moore, dude. I think that would be great. DJ Moore, a rookie, Ricky Pearsall, maybe another free agent. Now we're talking.
What's the cost for DJ? Second?
Mm, I mean, if they can get a second for him after, well, they ended up with Caleb Williams, because he was part of the deal, when it
Yeah.
came. Um, Probably not. Like I would send a third. Like I think a third is fair, especially with the contract. And it helps the Bears out because then they don't have to cut them, worry about dead cap or anything like that. I would say a third.
I'd do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I mean, what is he, like 28 years old?
Yeah. Yeah.
Somewhere.
It still
So
feels
he's
like it still feels like I'm waiting for them to be like, oh, he's still 23 years old.
Yeah, that's right. We'll talk about DJ for a long time.
Mhm.
So the guy that I really like, if the 49ers were willing to spend, it doesn't require a trade. And it's also another player that I know a lot of people aren't going to like, and I'm fine with it. There seems to be a theme here, Jason. I
Uh,
really like Wandale, dude. I'm a Wandale Robinson truther.
Seems like
I love this guy. I would love him on this team just because I think the way he would fit, the way he could run routes out of the slot, the ability to make catches in the short intermediate windows, and just imagining him and Brock's timing. Um, I think it would work. And I would love to see the 49ers kind of take this offseason as an opportunity to expand the three wide receiver sets. I don't know if you have the numbers on this. Do you know
really low.
what they ranked last year? Because historically under Kyle, they've always been at the bottom of the league in three wide receiver sets. I don't know if you have that off
Yeah.
the top of your head, but is it still pretty low?
It's near the bottom. It's
Near
really
the
near the
bottom.
bottom, like of the league. Yeah, like whenever I would do my preview matchups for that, the personnel groupings, it would always be they would always be at the lowest when it comes to that. Now 21, they're up at the top of the league. They didn't really change much. So yeah, they just and I think again in the three wide receiver sets that they had this season, they kind of scaled all that back just based on who was available, right? Like how do we get
They
this
were
football
running
out
out of
to
wide receivers there, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right. Malik Turner's out there, so yeah, they're at the bottom of the league in terms of three wide receivers, and they it's everybody else is kind of taking that and doing it a little bit differently, but Kyle is just they tried and trusted when it comes to that bottom of the league. I would say bottom 1, 2.
Yeah, and honestly, since Trent Taylor, I don't think we've seen that, you know, jitterbug type of slot. You know what I'm saying? That's
Right.
not very big. We've
Hunter
seen a lot
Renfro's
of big.
Hunter Renfro's out there.
Oh yeah, there you go. What do you think about Romeo Dobbs? Just really quick.
He's got to fix his drops. I think the hell out of that player. I think he's good. It's just, man, he's got to concentrate a little bit more, keep his eyes on the ball. Anybody who's watched the Packers knows that, he has a propensity for making great plays. But my God, man, you got to catch the football, and that's gonna drive that's gonna drive Kyle nuts. I mean, depending on who you are, right? Like if you're in the Cabo clique and you drop a few passes, Kyle's gonna be like there. But if you're like somebody who's just like on the cusp of a doghouse, you're literally gonna get sent to the shadow realm. So, yeah, I think
There's
him
levels
coming
to it,
in,
right? There's levels.
right, 100%. George Kittle drops a pass and he's just like, oh dear, come here, it's okay, it's fine. But if Dobbs drops one pass, he'll never run another route ever again for the 49ers,
Oh my God. Dude,
practice or in a game.
that's so funny. I'm sure you saw all the stuff about Makai Lemon and
Hmm.
his like,
Strange
you know,
interview.
strange interview. Um, I made a tweet today. I was like, well, welcome to Kyle Shanahan's doghouse, buddy. Because if he
Already.
slides, I feel like the 49ers would be like, the talent is there, right? And like he's clearly a top talent at wide receiver in this class. And it's like, okay, do they feel confident enough with the person to be able to draft them? Because we know if the 49ers have a red flag on a person, they're gonna probably go the other way, especially with the Brandon Ayuk situation that's played out. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to go on with that situation. But speaking of young rookie wide receivers, I kind of want to transition this back into some combine talk. Silence says, "Give me Brazel and Burks." Burks lit up the combine with his testing. Brazel out of Tennessee, just large and fast. He says fixes speed issues on day one. Do you have any comments on these two, or were there any other wide receivers that kind of stood out to you? Maybe wasn't on your radar and now is on your radar. You want to go do a little bit more work on, or anyone who just kind of stood out to you from the wide receiver group in Indianapolis.
I mean, you're always gonna be taken to, hey, who ran the 40, right? Like, and I'm glad that a bunch of guys didn't didn't run the 40, right? Because that stuff, like, again, if that matters, then Xavier Worthy would be the best player in football, right? He doesn't play that fast, right? Like, you want to see some speed and everything, but it's just like, I don't know about all that, and I think it you lose how to run, routes, right? And you lose how to actually get yourself open. I thought Bryce Lance did a really good job, and I know that we're not being funny, when we're saying that or whatever. Obviously, Brennan Thompson, 4.26. I mean, that's exactly what you're looking for. I think the guys that didn't really run, obviously Omar Cooper 4.42. That's not gonna blow you away. Jacoby Lane is somebody who I think is good as well too. Cardinal Tate should drop further, I think, for that 4.53. I don't think that he should. I wouldn't draft him at 26 or anything like that. 27. That feels like the sweet spot for Cardinal Tate, and those other teams need to stay away from him. And then Malachi Fields, man, from Notre Dame, like, I think he's another guy that, like, he put on a show, like, during the season. He was really good. But yeah, I
He's
think the
got
49ers
hands,
again.
man. He can catch
Yeah.
everything. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
the 49ers have their picks, like, there, right? And there's gonna be the only thing that sucks about this draft is there's not gonna be a frenzy for quarterbacks, right? Like, nobody's desperate to jump up. Like, after Mendoza, everything else is just, it could be whatever. Ty Simpson can go in the top 7. He can go in the back end of the second round. Like that's like the fluctuations when it comes to that. There's just no consistent, or there's no consensus quarterback rankings, right? Like, there's not 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 where you're like, oh, all of these guys. It's Mendoza, who is going to be a Raider. I'm sorry, buddy, and then everybody else. And after that, it's just again, who's gonna take a chance on somebody, and when are they gonna? So that's the only thing that sucks, because then people wouldn't be trying to look to move up, or there won't be any craziness on the board or anything like that this year.
Yeah, I feel like they're trying very, very hard to elevate Ty Simpson. I think they
Oh yeah.
really are. I don't think he's a first round prospect. I think he's a day two guy at best. But again, scarcity at the position, at the most important position in football. Someone's going to take a shot in the first round. It's going to happen. I thought he looked good. I think he has all the mechanics, but I just remember I only watched one game, and I think it was his final playoff game. He looked awful. Like I was like,
Oh, but that was like after like 7 or 8 weeks of him being bad. Like he started.
he looked so bad. I couldn't
Yeah,
believe
well,
it.
he started so good. Also, like by the way, like
Right,
he had
right.
people like going nuts and everything, and then it just went to hell. Like watching them, and the only reason I know is you know I've been watching Indiana and everything, and they've been on, and the 49ers, the 49ers, Indiana put belt to ass on them. I was never worried about Ty Simpson or anything like that. It just had been so many weeks in a row of him just being bad, and not only being bad, but looking like somebody who just has never played the position at certain times, just looking overwhelmed by everything. And I'm just like, dude, you're Bama's quarterback. That's why I was shocked when he went into the draft. But I guess he was worried about tanking his stock more by going back to college, just in case he doesn't pick it up.
Yeah, no, I feel that. I don't know what he's going to be in the NFL, but if anyone tries to start him as a rookie, dear God, like good
Hmm.
luck with that. Some names that I liked from the combine. I think a lot of these guys are going to fall into the I need to do more homework on.
Uh,
But Colby Young out of Georgia, I thought had a really strong combine. He's someone that I want to go back and look at. Antonio Williams out of Clemson, I
he's
just
good
had
too.
this feeling about him. I haven't watched him. I've heard people talk about him, but I was like, that's probably going to be good. And he fills that kind of like slot type
Yeah.
mold. I thought he had a good combine. Um, so this is a guy that now I'm like, I have to go do more tape work. Reggie Vigil out of Texas Tech. I thought he did great at the Senior Bowl, and then I thought he had a great combine. So now he's a guy like, okay, I need to go study him and see what he looks like on tape. He's a guy that I really want to do more homework on. Um, I didn't think Elijah Raw had a great combine,
Hmm.
but his tape speaks for itself. He is
That's what I'm
great.
worried. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
That's what
great
I'm on.
though. Um, Eric Rivers was an interesting one for me out of Georgia Tech. Again, just I want to go look and see. He looked like an extremely fluid athlete to me. Again, I think more. What is it? What is it with me and these slot type wide receivers, man? I don't know what's going on here. I'm starting to see the own trend right in front of my eyes. Um, so we'll see. I like Zachariah Branch. Like, what the
Yeah.
hell, man?
I was gonna
Um,
ask you about Zach Branch.
so I've been following Zach since I think he was a freshman, right? Because that's when he blew up on the scene at USC.
Mhm.
And I'll be honest, I really didn't follow much of him in Georgia, and I know he had a bit of a down year. But to me, he just seems like an athlete. Like I don't know if so I can't speak on him having a down year because of quarterback play, because I don't know, not seeing the field. I have no idea. So I unfortunately can't speak to that, but I do believe in him. I do believe that he's just an athlete. I just believe he's one of those guys, get the ball in his hands, he's going to make plays. Natural pass catcher, natural mover. I'm personally a fan of him, and I think he'll go probably day two. Um, maybe sneak into day three. I doubt it, but I think he could be one of those guys that is better than his draft stock or where he's selected is. Denzel Boston, I was hoping to see a little bit more from at the combine. I haven't done tape work on him yet. I've seen all the
He
hype about
reminds me.
Boston.
He reminds me of Mike Evans.
He's got the size, like he's got the size. Like he's a
Hmm.
big bodied wide receiver. There were some catches where I'm like, I would assume a guy like that, who his calling card coming in to the combine is contested catches, high point, those kinds of things. He dropped a couple. I was like, again, it's the combine. Take it for what it's worth. Um, but I do want to go look at him. So there's definitely a couple guys. Um, that I think could be some speed fixes for the wide receiver room. Obviously, we'll see. Um, any other combine guys? Like we'll open this up to any position. Any other combine guys that stood out to you over this week? I mean, it sucks, Jason, because we would probably both be. We probably both would have been in Indiana.
Not probably.
Uh, yes, we would have both been at the combine covering it if it wasn't for us both being on IR. But I know you were paying attention from afar. So anyone stand out to you? Just give me a name or two that you got.
Yeah, just and I know that this doesn't play into the 49ers hands because he's not going to be there, but Dylan Thieneman. Oh baby, from
Oh,
Oregon. Oh man, that young man is special, man. I thought watching him a little bit at Purdue and then getting my hands on like his tape because he's been a popular name for the Minnesota Vikings. A lot of
mhm.
people at 18 have been mocking either him or Avion Terrell from Clemson. So getting a chance to watch him, it just feels like a glove in hand fit to replace Harrison Smith, and he just plays just like him, and he's just a lot faster, like and
Yep.
watching him, he was great. Obviously, you're watching Sonny Styles and you're like, oh, that's the linebacker one. His brother, blew things out of the water as well too, man. He looked really good. I don't know what the hell's going on in their family with their genes. Again, I'm naming guys that, like, they're not in the Niners range, like they're not going to be there, but
Right.
these are guys that I've still like been able to watch and study a little bit more. But yeah, Dylan Thieneman, he man, I knew he was fast. It pops on tape. I didn't know he was that fast. And that young man has just played himself into round one easily.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. That was really my kind of first impression of him. And I mean, that whole safety class again, I think the broadcast highlighted it multiple times. If you were going to run slow, you probably didn't run your 40. So pretty
Hmm.
much everyone who ran knew that they were going to run somewhat well. So, I mean, the 40 class or the safety class in the 40s they ran was crazy. Um, but when I thought, I don't know if you saw it, and I know you are familiar with RAS
Hmm.
and the way that he puts those together and then ranks them against previous players who've come through. He took Sonny Styles, put him at linebacker, safety, cornerback, and I think even at edge, and he ranked number 1 out of any player who has gone through the combine and put up their measurable tests since like 1987. I thought that was insane. Like that dude's like a generational athlete.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's
Linebacker one.
insane.
Yeah, linebacker one. No, like I like when people are like, oh, I've been, I'm really high on Sonny Styles. Oh, okay. Like you really
Big
jumping
swing
out the
there.
window. Yeah, you're really taking a chance here, aren't you? But let me guess, you were all in on Trevor Lawrence at number one, right? Like,
Yeah,
um,
100%.
but uh, but yeah, like I think he was great as well too. I like what I saw from Lee Hunter's. I like what I saw Lee Hunter. What I saw from the guy from Florida too, who I think he's an athletic freak, but I want to see a little bit more of pass rushing. What's his name? I think it's Banks, if I'm not mistaken. Um, but I want to see a little bit more from him as far as a pass rusher. I'm sure I got that name wrong, and somebody will let me know in the chat. But yeah, there's definitely, and then the Zane Durant thing is crazy, but I get scared. Like you have to take him like with a sixth or seventh round pick because he's gonna project as like a special teamer right now. But man, can that guy fly and he can do some special things athletically.
Yeah, there's a couple guys who stood out to me, specifically on the offensive line. I was tweeting about him today. I believe it's Spencer Fennell out of Utah. I think he was their right tackle. He looked like to me the most athletic offensive lineman on the field by a large margin. It wasn't even like a close debate. They were talking about having him, or they put him through some center drills, and that got my wheels spinning because, like, if you have kind of followed along with, I have a specific archetype with certain players. And like interior offensive linemen, I really like speed. I like speed technique. I get it. The 49ers went in a different direction. I think it was 2022 draft. They went with the big 6'5, 330, 340 in Aaron Banks. I get it. It worked for a little while. Now I'm sure the Green Bay Packers are really regretting the decision that they made to give him the contract that they did, but that's not our issue. I like this idea of just speed, foot quickness, technique on the interior, especially with the way the game is moving. You know, there's a lot of speed on those defensive lines. You look at the defensive lines who wreck shop, Seattle's defensive line. You look at uh, what the Rams are doing. You look at the teams that have the best defensive lines, their interior D line can move. Like, yes, they are big and they're strong and they can maintain their gap integrity, but they also can move. And also, too, with the way the linebackers, like we're seeing with these Sonny Styles and guys coming into the league, these safeties, they're fast, right? And if we're going to get to second level, you got to be able to get some speed. So that was a guy who really stood out to me. I want to go watch his tape. I thought Monroe Freeling really solidified himself as a legit first round prospect. I really like what I've seen on him from tape, but I think the numbers just really extrapolate to this guy's can play left tackle. Like, he doesn't have to kick inside. Everything that he has, he can be on left tackle, right tackle. That's a guy that I really like. There's a couple of them out there. So I don't know. What do you think the 49ers do at offensive line? Obviously, it doesn't sound like they're going to be keeping Spencer Burford. So it does appear that there is going to be a hole on the left side. How do you feel the 49ers address that particular hole? Is it through the draft, or do they try to bring in a free agent? We do know huge offseason news. The 49ers did re-sign Nick Sakel.
I aspire to have the job security that Nick Sakel has. But I think they're gonna do what they always do, Brad. They're gonna look around and wait, right? What is it? Chris Forrester says, do we want guys who can block for the quarterback, or we want guys who can score touchdowns? We're gonna go with the guys who can score touchdowns. I don't think they're gonna change that. And they'll address it with a third or fourth rounder, and they'll probably sign somebody in free agency that won't knock your socks off. Again, somebody that like the 49ers know, right? That he's been with Kyle in Atlanta, or he was with him in Washington, or like it just feels they're going that way. I know that they're not going to be able to depend on Barch, and they realize that, moving forward. So, and that's the thing too, is you were talking about the Aaron Banks contract, right?
Yeah.
The two places where people get overpaid because of the shore, just hard finding those type of players, offensive line and wide receiver. Those guys are always going to be paid more. Like, you're always going to look up at an offensive line and just be like, man, like, that guy got that. Yeah, because nobody can get out there and find guys, right? And that's the thing. And that's the same thing that they feel like with wide receivers. So, you don't see the 49ers paying, out like the Cole McKivitz deal looks like a steal. The Trent Williams thing, I'm sure that'll get figured out. You got Pooney, you're fine. But left guard, center, you got to try to figure things out, even though, they love Jake Brendel as well, too. So I wouldn't suspect that they're getting away from him anytime soon.
No, he's under contract for one more season, too. I fully expect Jake Brendel to be the 49ers center next year. But what they should do is what they've done pretty much historically on the offensive line is draft a year ahead. So to me, that tells me this will be the year they draft a center, redshirt him, right? If they can get a guy like, I love Kalen Rutledge out of Georgia Tech. He can play center. He could play guard. That would be the type of prospect that I would be targeting. He could probably be a day 3. I don't know. It's going to be fascinating to see how the league views him. He might not make it to the third round, or to where the 49ers are picking in the third round. But like, Rutledge would be a guy that I would absolutely be targeting for, like, I think this guy could probably be a day one starter at left guard if need be and the center of the future. But honestly, dude, when you're looking at their setup, Austin Pleasance is coming back. Connor Colby got some starts. Is Matt Hennessy a free agent?
I don't know,
I'm
but I'm
not
sure that they
I'm
can
not
have him
sure.
back for nothing.
Correct. I wouldn't be surprised if we get like an all-out competition for that left guard spot, and it's Colby versus Pleasance versus Hennessy versus Zakel versus Nugent, and they don't sign anyone in free agency and draft someone.
I wouldn't be shocked either.
Unfortunately, I think that's how it's going to play out. I think a lot of people are going to be upset about it. But again, we know their philosophy. They're not going to the idea of Tyler Linderbaum, I'll get your
Not
thoughts on
gonna
this
happen.
before I give mine. On a scale of 1 to 10, what is the likelihood that the 49ers sign Tyler Linderbaum?
0. You didn't even want to sign Drew Dahlman last year, and he's going to cost way less. And Linderbaum's about to be the highest paid safety. He's going to make 20 M's. 0. The answer is 0.
I agree, 0. I don't think there's I I can't even bring myself to, get some free clicks out of it because it's like it's just such a non-starter. It's like
Yeah.
he's gonna, like you said, not only is he gonna get 20 M's, he might go above it just because there's gonna be a bidding war and he's gonna have the opportunity to reset the whole market. And so he's gonna take that opportunity. I think I think he would return to the Ravens. I think the Ravens absolutely would want him back, but he knows I can reset the whole market. 20 M's, try 23, try 24, and create some kind of bidding war. He could elevate the entire safety mark, or excuse me, center market just by going out and signing in free agency to a team who's willing to spend. And that's what I think is going to happen. Is going to come down to just an all-out bidding war for arguably the best center in the league right now.
And the Chiefs guy is the highest paid at 18, right?
Correct.
So, yeah, 20 is.
I think it's going to be a situation where he blows the old number out the water,
Yeah.
right? Because he's not negotiating against anyone else but these other teams, and it's all a bidding war. And I
Yeah.
guarantee you he's not looking at any contract that doesn't start with a 2.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
And
saying? So I think he's
and
going to get cashed.
yeah, and the buzz of like this is the best center prospect that has been available possibly ever in NFL free agency, like yeah. And it was the Ravens Eric DaCosta, the general manager, who spoke at the press conference and said, yeah, we're talking with him about, a market level deal, and that's again 18 for damn it, what the hell is the center's name for
Creed Humphrey?
Kansas City? Yes,
Creed
yes.
Humphrey.
18 from Humphrey. 20 is the least amount that he's gonna get, and you can bet that the Raiders will throw an extra $3 million on there so they could protect their their new quarterback.
Oh yeah. And like we all know, these teams value centers. They have just been able to get away with paying them a fraction of what they're truly worth.
Well, the thing is this. Teams are looking at Linderbaum like we're going to get him a center and it's going to fix everything else, regardless of what the personnel is, right? That's a lot of pressure. But people are believing that if they add Linderbaum, if you had the worst offensive line, you're going to have one of the better offensive lines. Your offensive line will improve, but it's not, there's no way that he can mask all that other stuff. That's the part that I find a little funny.
He can help mask a right guard or a left guard that maybe is below average. You can't mask those bookends. A center can mask the 2 interior guys, but he's not going to be able to do that with your tackles. So if you don't have good tackles, then good luck. So yeah, I don't think that's an option. Again, I feel like, I see all the comments. It's still all the same. Any mock draft I drop, you only took one offensive lineman. I don't think they're going to draft more than one offensive lineman. Like really, I really don't. And they don't have a ton of picks. So it's not a great double down situation because, again, if you look at the numbers, they're already at their number of basically who they would probably keep on their 53. Austin Pleasance, Connor Colby, if Matt Hennessy comes back, Nick Sakel, obviously they love Nick Sakel. He just got a contract, so wouldn't be surprised if that secures him for a 53-man job next year. Again, it's not like a crazy contract, so they can get out of it, but it's not like there's a ton of numbers there. And I think that's part of the issue when fans say draft O-line, draft O-line, draft O-line. Is a rookie O lineman going to beat out someone like Austin Pleasance? I don't think so, unless they are a very good quality offensive lineman. But if you throw a dart at an offensive lineman in the 6th round, that 6th rounder is probably not going to beat out Colby or Pleasance. I mean, Colby made it onto the roster, so there's an example right there. Drew Moss made it on as a UDFA last year, so there are examples of it. I just feel like I don't know. I wouldn't get my hopes up on just having this brand new shiny offensive line heading into next season.
And I'm going to say the same thing that I always say. Any offensive lineman will do. Like, just anyone.
Right.
Does it have a requirement about him being able to play football? Does it have a requirement about him actually being good? Or
Right.
you just, as soon as whatever offensive lineman you draft, it's solved, right? And I keep pointing back to Will Campbell. Will Campbell, oh my God, the Patriots are going up. They're getting their guy really early. He's not a tackle. He's a guard. Got his ass whipped. Draft Kingsley Suyamaida. Lost his job immediately. Roger Rosengarten took a little while for him to get going. He's there. He's a starter. So will any offensive lineman do? Or should you at least do your due diligence and try to figure out if they can play football? Because taking offensive linemen for the sake of placating whatever it is that you want, because you want offensive line upgrades so bad, is what bad organizations do.
Yep.
If there's a can't miss, we got it guy, at 27, somebody who fell at fine. That's different. But you should set your watch to like a guy like Proctor later on. Later on, you're gonna wind up finding, guys like that. Yeah, I look, Brad, I'm not the O-line guru. I'm just telling you, they're gonna wait. They're gonna wait and they're gonna wait and they're gonna wait. They're gonna wait.
I don't want that. I don't want Proctor at all. He reminds me of, was it Evan Neal?
Well, Evan Neal's good now.
The other, is he playing guard now?
Yeah, but he's good now. He's
good. Playing guard. He's not a tackle anymore, right?
Yeah.
They had to kick him inside, kind of shake him up a little bit. But he was billed as, he's top 5 pick, tackle. Top 10 pick?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, right? Top 5.
Caden Proctor isn't even that. I didn't like Neal coming out. My tight end or my tackle 1 was Ike Ekwonu. I thought he was better than Neal. But when you look at Proctor, he's like the Timu version of Neal. And so that terrifies me. And so I personally wouldn't even go close to that. But again, I agree 100% with what you're saying. The same concept that I had last year when the 49ers were picking at 11. I was like, there's no offensive lineman here. The top 3 guys went Membo, Banks, Campbell. After that, it was a steep drop. And I'm like, you can't take an offensive lineman at 11 just because you want to, because you have a perceived high pick. There was no one who slotted into that value. When the 49ers, I mean, honestly, I never really draft or mock offensive linemen to the 49ers when they are picking low, because it's really hard to find a tackle, which is who you likely want to take in the first round, or you're taking a premier center at the bottom of the first. And those guys don't come around that often. So it's a slippery slope when just trying to, we got to draft O-line, just to draft O-line. It's just like, and I know we've had this conversation a million times over the years. So we'll see. We'll see what the 49ers do, but I think it's going to be a whole lot of one free agent signing, one drafted player, and I'm assuming it's going to be a center who can also play guard. And then they'll have all of those guys compete for that one open guard spot. That's kind of the way I see it.
Coogan. Just draft all Hoosiers.
Coogan.
Like what? Yeah, like why are you not just drafting from the best college football team and program in the nation right now? Like,
I would love to take all IU guys. They're built different, and they
yeah,
all got a ton of reps. They have all
yeah,
played a ton of ball, and I think
yeah,
we've known that's one of the a big, indicators of success early as you've played ball.
yeah.
Obviously,
Just wait
what
till
are
you
your thoughts?
see. Just wait till you see the portal people that they're bringing in too. Indiana's they ain't going nowhere.
Oh, I've been paying attention as my Cal Bears have gotten a shot of life with Tosh coming in to be their head
I saw
coach.
that.
We've gotten a ton of great prospects in the portal, but as I was tracking that, it was like Indiana, top this guy, top that guy, top this guy, and I was like, oh no, they're gonna be on that tier of Alabama, LSU really soon, which is crazy to think about.
You're telling me it's
Honestly,
not a basketball school anymore.
right. Shout out to Signetti, man.
Yeah,
That dude could walk on water right now, and I'd
it's my dog, man.
killing the game. What do you think about this quick one? Turns out Zabel would have been a great pick at 11. Would you have taken Zabel at 11? All
I
things
wouldn't have at that
considered,
time. I wouldn't at that
hindsight.
time. I mean, with
But
hindsight
hindsight,
now. Oh, now that I know, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, now that I know, for sure. But at the time, it's that's why hindsight's 2020. I wouldn't if they would have done that at 11. I'd have been like, dude, what on earth, man? Like, you could have, you definitely could have, at least had him later, whatever, finagle something. But when you look back at his tape and how well he played, man, yeah, it would have been fine because you think about what you got from Mikel, but you would have had something shored up with Zabel. But I wouldn't have taken him at 11 at that time. And anybody who says they would have is lying right now because it's just not how it works. It just doesn't work that way. Now that we know that he's going to be good, yeah, we can do the Back to the Future thing with the almanac and go back and place bets and do whatever we want. Like that's fine. But you wouldn't have known that right then.
yeah.
We thought he'd be a good football player, but not at 11.
I
Come on.
I loved Zay Grable. Watching him at the Senior Bowl, seeing what he was by far the best offensive lineman at the Senior Bowl. It was crystal clear. Um, I remember, Jason, I was covering the draft. It was my first time covering the draft in Green Bay, and they had a little media session with Daniel Jeremiah. Shout out DJ. I think he's the GOAT right now when it comes to like football coverage. Like he's so good at what he does. And I asked him, like, what do you think the 49ers do at pick 11? He threw out the name Gray Zabel. And I was like, oh, that's surprising. And then later that day, he dropped his mock draft. It was Gray Zabel to the Niners at 11. So talk about guys who knew. Hey, DJ was on it. He was on it.
Yeah, yeah, and well, it was like Mel Kiper that was connecting Roger Rosengarten because of the whole Staley thing, and again, like the thing about the mock drafts is when the 49ers come up, they're going through their list of things that they need. And they're
Right.
like, oh, they need an edge, they need offensive line, they need wide receiver, and then you're gonna choose one of them. But yeah, Slick says Indiana's been non-existent until last year. Absolutely not. The year before that, they were running for the Big Ten championship as well too. I think they've lost
They
one
did some
game
damage.
in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I mean, it is what it is now because Georgia, Bama, LSU, Oklahoma, that's cool. They've been around, but they can get these boots smoked if they want. Like, strap it up. I don't give a fuck. Indiana's about to beat your ass. I'm sorry, Brad. Strap it up. I don't care. I don't care where you've been. I don't care where your history is. We belt to ass on Bama, belt to ass on Oregon. I send your send your best man, and we gonna send them back with a bunch of bruises, man. Stop playing, man. You think Indiana worried about because a bunch of teams used to be good? Ain't nobody worried about them.
the streets are saying the California Bears are the next Indiana. We'll see. Obviously, big shoes to fill, as you have so eloquently put. Indiana's going to kick anyone's ass who comes squares up with them. I mean, they're just that's a program in an era of this weird transfer, NIL portal, all this crap. But I am excited to see what the Cal Bears do. I know, obviously, this is a 49ers stream, but
Nah,
I've
it's
never
cool. I just went off on Indiana.
I've never been more excited about the Bears, man. In like the last decade. So I'm super excited. Obviously, dude, they had such a good team. They had such a good team, and they lost Fernando. They lost Nazim Hunter as wide receiver one in Nebraska. They lost Jack Andrews, went to be tight end one at Texas. Jaden Ott. Now, Jaden Ott, that's a whole nother story. I would love to dig into that to figure out what happened to that guy. But yeah, man, Cal's an opportunity to be back. 49ers, they have an opportunity to be back too. We'll see. But State of the Franchise was back for the first time in a long time. It's great, brother. Always good to be able to talk it up. Hopefully the people enjoyed it. And we'll try to get back to doing this more regularly. Again, both of us are on IR. Makes things a little bit difficult, but we'll do our best to keep coming with that 49ers content. So it's great, Jason. You have any parting words before we get out of here and get to our duties?
Nah, it's good to see you, my boy, and it's good to get this back on. We went a whole year without doing State of the Franchise this year, and you know, people thought we were beefing for a little while, and I had to keep telling people, I'm like, why would we be beefing? Like, we just got scheduled. That's you know what I'm saying? Like, there's no beef. Like, there's never like Brad. There's nothing that Brad could ever do to make me upset.
Yeah, we'll be back for sure. The schedule was insane last year. If you know, you know. But we'll definitely be back in the saddle coming up. Appreciate you all. You guys already know what to do. Make sure you're subbed to Jason's channel. Make sure you're subbed to ours or mine over here at the SF Niners. And we will get it popping and more 49ers content coming. Appreciate you guys. We're out of here for now. Peace. That's Jason Aponte. I'm Brad Graham. We're going to get into it all right now.